The Good Place touched life after death in a way I had never been offered before. A network sitcom, 22 minutes an episode, laugh track, a demon who becomes a friend, a woman who arrives in heaven by clerical error and spends 4 seasons trying to earn a place she is already standing in. It was funny, it was silly, it had a frozen yogurt shop on every corner. And it described what happens after you die with more grace than most of what I was handed growing up. I've spent years with near-death accounts. Kenneth Ring, Bruce Greyson, Pim van Lommel, Swedenborg writing 300 years ago about souls arriving exactly where they belong. And a comedy about frozen yogurt had some compelling parallels. Quick thing before we go in. I'm going to spoil this show. All 4 seasons. The twist at the end of season 1, the finale, all of it. So if you've been meaning to watch it, go do that first. It'll still be here when you get back. Watching it fresh is a gift I'd want you to have. Okay. For everyone still with me, hi, I'm Jules. This is the inner Jules, and this is where we sit with the big one. What happens after we die? I spend my time with near-death accounts, with the researchers who've spent their careers collecting them, with mystics who wrote about the other side centuries before anyone had a word for any of it. And I bring it back here, to you, as gently as I know how. Today we're doing something a little different. Today we're talking about a sitcom. Come sit with me. The engine of this show is a place called the Bad Place. And the show is very funny about it. Bees with teeth. A lava monster who files paperwork. An entire department inventing new tortures staffed by demons who love their jobs. It's a good joke. And underneath it sits the oldest idea we have about death. That somewhere out there, someone is preparing a response to your life. I'm going to say this plainly. I don't believe there is such a thing as hell. I don't believe anyone is out there building a place for you to suffer. I've spent years with this material, and I have never once found a reason to believe it. Eleanor spends all of season 1 bracing for the moment they notice her and come collect. And I want to sit here for a while, because that bracing is something I recognize. I think a lot of us are doing it. Let me be honest with you first. Some near-death accounts are difficult. Bruce Greyson has written about them. Nancy Evans Bush spent decades collecting them because so few people were willing to. People describe emptiness, fear, a sense of being very far from everything warm. Those accounts are real, and the people carrying them deserve to be believed. Here's how I hold them. I think what we meet first is shaped by what we arrive carrying. A lifetime of being told you were being watched. A lifetime of believing you'd be found out. That has weight, and it comes with us. And for a moment, it takes a form and stands in front of us. And then it moves. Because in those same accounts, over and over, people describe reaching, calling out, saying a name or a prayer, or simply help, sometimes without knowing who they were saying it to. And the whole thing gives way. What was underneath was love. It was love the entire time. The shape in front of it came from us, and love was patient enough to wait behind it until we asked. Which brings me to Swedenborg, a serious scientist respected across Europe, who in his 50s began having sustained visions of the afterlife and spent 30 years writing them down. Heaven and Hell, 1758. His idea is one of the most radical things anyone has put on paper about death. He says nobody is sent anywhere. There's no gate, no ledger, no authority reviewing your case. What happens instead is that you become fully what you most love. The outer layers soften away, the performance, the version you built for other people, and what remains is your ruling love. And then you go toward it, like water finding its level. You arrive somewhere that fits you so exactly that souls describe it as home, a place they recognize on sight. Heaven, in his account, is a match. And when I sit with that, here's where I land. If you keep following the thread, if everything is moving toward what it loves, then what's at the center is love itself. Source. The thing everything is made of and moving back toward. Heaven isn't a location you're admitted to. It's what you're already made of, meeting itself. Which is why what people describe coming back is so consistent. A presence, enormous, entirely without judgment, that knows every single thing about them, the worst of it, the parts they told no one, and stays. Kenneth Ring found it across hundreds of interviews. Van Lommel found it in the Dutch cardiac patients. The details vary wildly. That part holds. Unconditional, meaning there were never conditions, meaning there was nothing to meet. The word they reach for is always love. The next thing the show takes on is endings. What is heaven actually like, hour by hour, once you're in it? What is it like to have everything you wanted with the people you love, and then keep having it forever? Most descriptions of the afterlife stop at the door. You get in, and the story ends. This show walks through the door and keeps filming. So here's what happens at the very end of the series. After 4 seasons and 802 reboots, they fix the system. Eleanor, Chidi, Tahani, Jason, and Michael all make it to the real good place, the actual one, the paradise that was promised the whole time. And they get there, and everyone already inside is a shell. These are people who have been in paradise for millions of years. They get everything they want, instantly, forever. And they're blissed out, blank, and barely present. Nothing means anything anymore, because nothing costs anything. Paradise, exactly as we usually describe it, hollowed them out. Not through cruelty, through completion. Everything given, nothing wanted, forever. A thing with no edges has no shape. So they propose a solution, and it's a door. A simple wooden door frame standing at the edge of a field. You walk through when you're ready, and only you decide when that is. Some people stay 1,000 years. Some stay 1,000,000. What's on the other side? The show never tells us. What it does tell us is Chidi's answer. He's ready to go, and Eleanor isn't ready to let him. So he tells her about a wave. A wave rises up out of the ocean, and for a while it's a wave. It has a shape, a direction, a name if you want to give it one. It moves through the world as a separate thing. And then it comes back down, and people say the wave has ended. But the wave was always ocean. It was made of ocean the entire time it was rising. It borrowed a shape for a little while, and then it let the shape go, which means the wave never lost anything. It didn't leave the ocean and travel somewhere else. It was never anywhere else. The separateness was the temporary part. The ocean was the permanent part. And that's you. The shape you're in right now, your name, your face, the specific way you take up space in a room, that's the wave. Real and beautiful and yours. And underneath it, the whole time, ocean. This metaphor the show inherited. It's 4,000 years old. In Advaita Vedanta, the phrase is Tat Tvam Asi. Thou art that. Atman, the individual soul, and Brahman, the ground of all being, were never two things. And the ocean and the wave is the exact image those texts use. In Buddhism, it's anatta. The self you experience is a process rather than a possession, something the universe is briefly doing. Rumi wrote constantly about the drop and the sea, the drop that lets go and finds it was ocean all along. Swedenborg said souls are forms that divine love takes, and they return to what they came from. And in the language a lot of us use now, we'd call it source. One consciousness taking millions of temporary shapes so it can know itself from the inside. Same idea. 4,000 years, half a dozen traditions, and a network comedy in 2020, all describing a wave that was never separate from the water. And the show gives us one more thing in that ending, which is the reason any of this is worth having. Forever with no texture is unlivable. And I think this dimension is the answer to that. I think this is where the texture is. Here, things end, the season turns, the person leaves, the child grows, and it hurts. And it also means every single thing here is vivid in a way it could never be if it lasted. You hold your people closer because the holding has an edge on it. A mourning matters because there's a finite number of them. Contrast is what makes anything visible. Cold gives warm its meaning. Absence gives presence its meaning. We came into a world of edges, and the edges are the point. Which means this life, this exact one, with every ending in it, might be the most interesting thing that ever happens to you. the good part, happening now. Another parallel between the good place and real afterlife encounters is that the place you arrive in is built for you specifically. And the show plants this in the first episode and never stops paying it off. Michael doesn't build one heaven, he builds a neighborhood, 322 people, and every element of it is custom. The houses are matched to their residents. Eleanor's is designed for someone who loves clowns because the real Eleanor Shellstrop did. And when you learn the whole neighborhood was designed to torture those 4 people, the punchline is that it worked by being personal. It was built by someone who studied them. The show's premise is that the afterlife is tailored. And that's what the research keeps saying too. Because here's what's strange about near-death accounts once you've read enough of them. The core is identical everywhere. The light, the presence, the love, the peace. Kenneth Ring found it across cultures. Van Lommel found it in Dutch cardiac patients with no particular interest in the subject. And the scenery is completely different every time. Someone raised Christian meets a figure they recognize as Christ. Someone Hindu meets deities they grew up with. Someone with no faith at all meets a being of light with no name attached to it. People meet grandmothers, childhood pets, a person they lost, somehow the exact age they most want them to be. And the landscapes are personal in ways that are almost embarrassing in their specificity. Meadows, gardens, a house, a kitchen. People describe a place that felt made with them in mind and struggle to explain why it felt so familiar when they had never seen it before. Which is what Swedenborg described 300 years ago. Heaven has no single landscape because heaven is organized by the inner state of the soul. Souls gather with others who love what they love. The place shapes itself around them. And he said, a soul recognizes its own heaven immediately because it was made of what they already loved, which is the reframe I most want to hand you. A lot of us were given a heaven that belonged to someone else. Somebody else's architecture, somebody else's music, somebody else's list of who gets in. And a lot of us quietly wondered whether we'd even like it there. Every account I've spent time with suggests you walk into one shaped by what you love. The light through a particular window, the smell of a certain kitchen, a dog you had when you were 9, the way your person laughs when they're genuinely surprised, a morning in a place you visited once and thought about for the rest of your life. Whatever you love is already the material. You've been building it this whole time, just by loving things. So the question worth asking isn't whether you're good enough for the place. It's simpler. What do you love? That's the blueprint. Another parallel is who you're placed with. Michael selects 4 people, and on paper it makes no sense. A con artist from Arizona, an ethics professor from Senegal, a socialite from London, and a DJ from Jacksonville. Nothing connects them, except that each one is precisely, surgically, what the others need. Chidi can't make a decision, and Eleanor is nothing but decisions. Tahani spent her life performing goodness, and Jason has never performed anything. Eleanor is certain she's beyond saving, and Chidi is constitutionally incapable of giving up on someone. Michael assembled them to make each other miserable, and that's exactly the arrangement that saved them. Which brings me to something I've talked about on this channel before, and it's one of the ideas I hold most closely. Robert Schwartz spent years interviewing people about pre-birth planning. The idea that before you incarnate, you plan. Not the details, the shape, the challenges you want to work with, the qualities you want to build, and crucially, who's coming with you. In that framework, souls travel in groups. The same cluster, life after life, trading roles. The one who was your mother is your daughter. The one who was your teacher is your student. The one you loved easily this time was the one who was hardest last time. And here's the part that reorganized something in me. The hardest relationship in your life may have been agreed to in advance by both of you. Because the soul who agrees to be your difficulty is taking on the harder role. They agreed to be the one you struggle to forgive, the one you had to leave, the one who taught you your own limits by pressing against them. That's not a small thing to volunteer for. And the show gets there on its own, without ever using the word soul. Michael's whole plan depends on the four of them tormenting each other. And what happens instead is that Chidi teaches Eleanor ethics, and Eleanor teaches Chidi how to actually live in his own life. Tahani learns she was always enough. Jason turns out to be the one who loves without conditions. The torture was the curriculum. The friction was the whole point. And by the end, Michael, the architect, the one who designed it, becomes part of the group he built. So here's what I'd want you to sit with. Think of the person who was hardest for you, the one who cost you the most, the one you're still working on. There's a version of this where they were assigned to you by accident, and there's a version where they loved you enough to take the role nobody wants, to be the one you had to grow around, to be your difficult teacher, and to accept that you might never see them as anything else. I've made a whole video about soul contracts, and I'll link it because it deserves more room than I can give it here. But if you take one thing from this part, the people who shaped you most were probably the ones it was hardest to be near. And that might have been the arrangement all along. Which brings me to Michael. He starts the show as the villain. An architect who designs the neighborhood, invents the torture, and stands back to watch it work. He's been doing this for a very long time. He's good at it. He enjoys it. And then he spends enough time near 4 humans that something happens to him. He starts caring whether they're okay. He starts arguing with his own side. He risks everything he is to protect them. By the end, he wants to be human so badly that being given a human life is the greatest gift anyone could offer him. Michael is the only character in the show who changes species, and the reason is that he learned something. which means the architect wasn't finished either. And that lands differently once you've read enough afterlife accounts. Because the beings people meet on the other side are almost never described as remote or complete. People describe them as warm, present, sometimes funny, sometimes surprised. People describe a guide who seems delighted by them, who is enjoying the encounter, not administering it. And there's something in that. Delight requires that something is still happening to you. A finished thing isn't delighted. A finished thing already knows. The presences people describe are moved by us, which means we are doing something to them. The law of one material takes that idea all the way down. Its central claim is that the Creator is knowing itself through experience. That infinity divided itself into countless points of awareness precisely so it could have a perspective, so it could find out what it's like from the inside. And in that framework, creation is ongoing, not completed and observed, still unfolding, still gathering what we bring back, which means the thing at the center is expanding. And your specific life, this one, with your particular mess in it, is part of what it's expanding by. Which means the architect wasn't finished either. I'm describing a source that experiences alongside you, that is affected, that is closer to a parent watching their child discover something than to a judge reviewing a case. And I find that easier to believe than the alternative. Because a finished, perfect, complete thing has no reason to make anything. Making something is what you do when there's more to know. So here's the reframe. Your life isn't being graded. It's being lived by you and by whatever you're made of at the same time. The hard year is data the universe didn't have. The thing you forgave is something it now knows how to do. The way you loved someone difficult is a capacity that exists now because you built it. You're not being evaluated by the thing at the center. You're one of the ways it's finding out. Michael spent eternity as an architect who understood humans on paper. And then he got close to 4 of them, and it changed what he was. He didn't teach them from above. He learned alongside them and became more himself in the process. I think that's the most accurate thing the show ever did. Not that there's someone watching, that whatever's out there is still becoming, and it's using this, all of this, to do it. So here's where I land. A network sitcom, 22 minutes an episode, with a frozen yogurt shop on every corner, said some things about death I wish someone had said to me much earlier. That the place you arrive in is shaped by what you love. That the ones who were hardest for you may have loved you enough to take that role. That endings are what make anything here matter. and that the wave was always ocean the whole time it was rising. The research describes something simpler than the show does. No points, no accounting, only a presence that already loves you. But grace is its own kind of true, and this one had it. Thank you for spending this time with me. If a particular part stayed with you, tell me. I read every comment. There's a video on soul contracts linked below if you want to go further. Take care of yourself this week. Go be a wave for a while. I love you so much, my dear friend.